Welcome back to the 2 a.m. Campfire Club. I'm Reagan.
I'm Ethan.
And
And this week we're talking about Ouran High School Host Club, which is a very long name for a show.
hey, it's not the longest name for a show.
It's pretty long. I guess I'm
High
watching
School
a different.
musical, the series.
I'm currently watching a show called "Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls or to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?" So that's a pretty long title.
I like full sentence titles. It's fun.
I do too. Like, my favorite one, here's another long one, is I don't want to die in this video game, so I'm gonna max out my defense. It's the full title of the show. It's way too long. But yeah, it's a brief rundown if you've never watched it. I don't even know how to describe this. So, this girl goes to a private school for a bunch of rich people, and she got in because she's really smart, and she accidentally walks into what's called a host club, which is just a bunch of hot guys who make girls want to date them, and then the girls pay to do that. And she accidentally breaks a vase, and everyone thought she was a guy, so they make her one of the hosts, and this is her story.
Yeah,
It's like
so she can work off her debt
yeah,
because
because
she has to pay
she
for the
broke a
vase.
vase. Yeah, and it was like $8,000 vase, and she's poor. But this show is hilarious and insane, and yeah, we're talking about that this week.
I mean, it's just like it's a
So
parody of shoujo anime.
yeah,
It's just that's
it's
what that is.
very extreme version. It's like takes a bunch of character tropes from shoujo anime and then makes them the most extreme possible versions of that, and then makes a character that's fairly normal deal with that.
Yeah.
And also, her dad is also, I don't even know how to say that.
Well, her dad's a
He's a cross
cross-dresser,
dresser,
right?
but he's just also a mess. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's a whole thing. Because like she's pretending to be a dude,
yeah.
and he's a cross-dresser. This was the first ever anime I watched.
Yeah, you told me that. That's what got me to
Yeah.
watch it. You were the one that suggested for me to watch it, and then from that I suggested to my sister to watch it, and then
Mm.
from that she suggested to someone else to watch it. So that's why I thought of doing this episode today. So I don't know where we want to start with this. We could go over like the characters and who they are and what they do, because they're probably the funniest part of the show. I'm gonna pull up a Wikipedia page because I forgot their
Yeah,
name. It's been a
that's
while
what
since
I'm doing too.
I know there's
Um,
Tamaki.
just a note, I have not read the manga,
I haven't either.
so
I
we're
don't read
specifically
manga.
talking about the show because I don't read. Oh, there was a visual novel for PlayStation 2.
How important to this conversation?
Sorry, I'm just on the Ouran Wikipedia page.
I know, I just find that funny. Also, I'd like to note that this show was released 16 years ago and only had one season.
That's the
So
best
this
kind of
isn't like,
show.
yeah.
Recent shows with multiple seasons, we don't want that.
All right. So the main character is named Haruhi Fujioka. Then there is Tamaki, Hyoya, Hikaru and Kaoru, Honey, and Mori as the main characters of this show.
And also
So,
Renge.
oh, I hate her so much. We'll get to that later. I don't think she should be counted as a character. She's at most a background annoyance.
Who's the guy with the puppet?
I remember the puppet's name, but not the guy's name. The puppet's name is Belzebeth. I don't remember his name though. Let me see if I can find it.
I haven't watched the show in a hot minute.
If I just Google the show name and sketchy guy, do you think he'll come up? Sketchy guy. It came up. Nekazawa.
Nakazawa.
That guy's great. We'll cover him later too. There's so much to cover in this show now that I'm thinking about. I've only watched like the first 3 episodes recently, but that show is a gem. But so I'll go over the characters briefly. Oh, I just saw Carby.
Oh no.
Sorry, he showed up on their wiki page. There's nothing I can do about that. So there's Tamaki, who is known as the king. He likes the main character, Haruhi, and calls himself her daddy all the time. He's very arrogant and self-absorbed, but he's also like still a pretty nice person. Then there's Kyoya. He's the smart one whose family owns just about everything. That's about his whole character. He likes to act like he's not a nice person, but he actually is.
He's the one who's keeping the club together because everyone else is so chaotic.
Yeah, no one else could run a club. There would be no club. They would just be like, I don't even know. It would be bad without him there. Then there's the twins who constantly act like they're in love.
Yes, that's their whole shtick. But they're not. With the host club is because they all have their own thing that gets the girls obsessed so that they want to pay to be around them. And for the twins, it is pretending like they have a forbidden romance, which is a parody of a shoujo trope.
They're pretty annoying. I won't lie.
Yeah, because
they always talk in sync. They always talk in sync, and it's pretty annoying.
Yeah, they're also in love with Haruhi.
Just about I would say about everyone, but I guess that's not true. It's really just them and Tamaki, and also that one chick from the other school.
Oh,
but I don't think she's really in love with her. I think she's just weird.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole thing throughout the show is just the twins trying to sabotage Tamaki.
I'm sorry, I just looked at the list of characters and Byosunev showed up in the list of characters. I wouldn't call a puppet a character.
A puppet can be a character.
But not this puppet. Then there's Honey, who is I think he's the oldest one in the club.
Yes, he's the oldest of all of them.
But he looks like he's 5.
Yes.
And also acts like he's 5.
Yeah, and he has his stuffed rabbit.
Yeah. What's his name? Usa-chan. That's what he calls him. And then there's Mori, who is his. Oh wait, I forgot. There's more to Honey. He's really good at karate. He's like the best karate master in the world, and everyone's horrified of him.
And he really also
looks like a child.
And sweets.
He doesn't really like food. It's really just sweets. Strawberries are his favorite. I remember that because there's multiple scenes about that in this show. Yeah, and then there's his cousin, Mori, who's just quiet and just lets Honey do whatever he wants. But also keeps him from dying.
He carries him around on his shoulders a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's about it. They're always together. Yeah, those are the main characters. This show's just so good. You should watch it if you haven't. There's not really much that you can spoil from this. Because even if I told you what's gonna happen, it's still gonna be funny. One of my favorite tropes in this show, though, is every episode, someone slips on a banana peel.
Yes.
And sometimes they try to make there a reason. There's one where there's a ball, and the twins just for some reason start eating bananas in the middle. They just show up with bananas in one scene, and then they toss them, and somebody slips on them a minute later. It's they had no reason to be eating a banana in that moment. And then there's other times where they just appear. I think there's one that's literally thrown by a monk, I'm not even sure if it was somewhere there was supposed to be a monkey. There's just so many. I don't know why. There's so many times that people slip on banana peels. Sometimes it'll be like 4 people in a row. There's like 2 scenes where 4 people slip on banana peels in the same random room where there should be no banana peels.
Can we talk about Renge now?
We have to. Renge she's from Paris. She appears in the show in like episode 3 or 4.
It's 4.
Because she sees a picture of Kyoya, which is the one that holds everything together. And she's like, he looks exactly like my favorite character from this dating sim. And so she flies from Paris all the way to Japan, which, mind you, the scene where it happens, she jumps out a window and then a plane flies out of the building. And it's like a full plane, like airport airplane for like a couple hundred people kind of plane. And she just jumps out the window and flies away. But so she ends up in Japan and is like trying to change everyone to make them more like the tropes of the people in her video game. But then they all hate her. And they're like, please go back to Paris. We don't want you here. But then she moves into the basement. Except she doesn't really. It's just like every episode, out of the floor, she'll rise up.
She'll just
on like
appear
this weird conveyor
cackling.
belt. Yeah. She just starts laughing, says something annoying, and then disappears back into the floor. Every episode. And it's not like if it was just in the room where they hold the club, it would be fine. But it's not. It's like everywhere they go, she just rises out of the floor somehow. It makes no sense.
They're at a pool, or they're,
water park, a jungle water park, or the beach. They go a lot of water places, which makes sense because they're all hot. Although, honestly, I don't know that this art style is very flattering for hot people.
No, it's not.
Especially Haruhi. Her eyes are horrifying. They're so empty. There's no soul behind that face. Like, especially, like, the picture I'm looking at right now is the one on the front page of the wiki. And she just stares straight into my soul. Actually, she stares to the other side, out of the back of my soul. I don't even know. Yeah, they're intrusive eyes. Yeah, then we'll talk about the other guy. I already forgot his... Nekazawa. So, there's a random door that he'll occasionally open and say something cryptic out of, or try to sell them his spiritual ritual stuff, especially his puppet, Dozunev.
Who's my favorite character?
He's great. He just opens the door, it's sitting in the shadows, and then he has an accent for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's like kind of like Dracula kind of thing. He's kind of like a vampire. He can't go into the sun, or else he's like in pain or something. I don't know. Why is it that he can't go into the sun?
Isn't he supposed to have like a disease or something?
I thought he was cursed.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Or at least he thinks he's cursed. He's actually like supposedly really hot and has like long blonde hair, but he's always in like this dark cloak and his hair looks black and he's covered in shadows.
Doesn't he wear a wig? He wears like a black wig.
Does he?
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing.
And dark contacts because he has blue eyes.
Yeah, he looks basically exactly like Tamaki.
Except he wears a black wig and dark eye contacts and a dark jacket and hides in the shadows. I
love those shows so much.
It's really good. He has a sister too.
Yeah, Karimi.
And his sister hates him because she says he's a monster, which I don't blame her. There's
a whole episode that's dedicated to them resolving.
Okay, they got a really cute picture on here, though. It's got him in his cloak with Belzenev, and then his sister in a cloak holding her, like, little stuffed animal as, like, a puppet. And it's really cute. Is there anyone else?
I feel like those are the most, like, relevant characters.
There's also... what's her name? There's a rivaling school.
Oh, yeah, the Lobelia?
Yeah. Dude, I don't like them.
No, they're weird.
Everyone in the show is annoying. Some of them are good annoying.
Some of them are endearing, because all of the characters are just, like, incredibly delusional.
Oh, yeah.
And just extremely...
Like, so much. Usa-chan has his own Wikipedia entry as a character? Why? Alright, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the whole, like, I'm not really sure what the Lobelia Academy is supposed to be satirizing, but the main chick, she's like, I don't even know how to describe her. She's like trying to get Haruhi to embrace the fact that she is a woman, and she just reminds me of like every TERF in a weird way.
Alright, I found a Wikipedia article on Haruhi's dad, whose name is Ryuji Fujioka, but he goes by Ronka, and he's a professional cross-dresser at a bar. He's bisexual and male, according to the manga. Almost never shown wearing male clothes, because he typically wears bandanas, t-shirts, and skinny jeans when he's at home, and then wears a police officer's outfit, apparently, when he's at work. Which I don't think they show that in the anime, but apparently...
No, they never show him at work. I like her dad.
Yeah.
I like Ronka a lot. She's, like, the thing is that Haruhi's relationship with her dad is supposed to reflect her relationship with Tamaki, because, like, Ronka's very similar to Tamaki in that he's, like, very, like, flamboyant, and...
They both insist on her calling them daddy. But like, unlike Tamaki, Ronka's not, I don't know, Ronka's not extremely weird. Like, and not quite as arrogant.
Yeah, he's just nice. I just think he's neat.
Yeah. He's my height. Fun fact.
This is important information.
Let's see. I can't remember what the people's names are, else I would pull up the rival school. But one of them, the main person, really wants to kiss Haruhi for some reason.
Yes.
And does she? I feel like she does. But she brings her up on stage and is like, we're gonna give this woman her first kiss. And then it was like a whole episode where they're trying to prove it wasn't. Or trying to stop her, and they ended up doing it by proving it wasn't her first kiss, because she kisses a girl in the second episode on accident because Tamaki slips on a banana peel. Yes. And shoves her into another chick, and they kiss. Which I think is the first appearance of the banana peel show.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, I'm sorry. I just found an article on two golden retrievers who are from France and appear in Japan, and their names are Antoinette and Ajibe. I just don't know why they have their own Wikipedia entries, but oh yeah, also most of the characters in the show have trauma that they don't tell people, which is typical for any anime, really. Everyone always has trauma in anime. Yeah,
everyone has a very detailed and specific backstory.
Where they have we touched on problems.
Yeah, we touched on Nekizawa. He's cursed and he has to wear a black wig and black hood, and has driven a wedge between his family, and he can't go in light.
Oh yeah, there's also that other guy. The guy with the red hair, who everyone thinks is like really tough, but he's actually just depressed. Mm-hmm. And he's like the leader of a gang. I think, is he gay? I feel like he ends up dating a guy. Oh no, he has a crush on Haruhi. Of course he does. Everyone does.
Yeah, everyone has a crush on Haruhi. Everyone's in love with Haruhi.
Which, yet again, anime trope.
Oh, the Zuka Club. I found main Lobelia chick.
Pictures of Renge. Oh yeah, her name's Eclair.
No. That's a different. That's the lady who's like obsessed with Tamaki.
Oh, yeah, that's right. From the last episode.
Yeah, and she's like also from France, and she's like, oh yeah,
there's so many people from France here.
For some reason, there's like specifically like a Japanese obsession with France. I don't know what that is.
Well, plus there's kind of the same thing with Japan and French shows, like Miraculous. There's a lot of references to Japan. It's weird. I don't know.
But the main girl from Lobelia is Benny Barra, the Lady of the Red Rose.
This show is very good. I'm sorry. I'm just reading through some of this stuff, and I'm just remembering how good this show is.
Yeah.
There's also, remember that episode? There's an episode where they're trying to make sure she keeps it a secret that she's not a guy. The main character. Haruhi, that's her name. I keep thinking of the main character of a different show. And so in that episode, while they're trying to, the main plot is them trying to hide her gender. But there's like a subplot where there's this guy who everyone thinks is a pervert running around the school.
The doctor guy? That's like episode 3 or whatever.
Yeah, that part of the show is weird.
Yeah, because it's like it's exams. Oh.
Yeah.
Which episode is that? But
I think it is 3. Because 1 is them meeting her. 2
the
is
physical exams. Yeah, that's episode 3. And yeah, so there's like the doctor guy. Oh, what is it? Because his daughter.
He thinks his daughter goes to that school,
but she goes to the public school for the poors,
which is also called Ouran for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There is a whole lot of jokes about how poor she is.
Yes,
that's one of the main jokes.
Instant coffee.
She's never had fancy tuna. That's a whole thing too. That's a running joke in the show.
Yeah, and really the joke is how out of touch these rich people are. Because every time she's like, does something poor, quote unquote, they're all like, oh my gosh, you poor soul. You're
so poor. Oh, they call her a commoner.
You poor commoner. You don't grind your own coffee beans. Oh no. Your life must be so hard.
And then they go to her house. They go to her house and they're like all picturing the worst thing in their head. And it's like a single room. She's like she's wearing a trash bag and like crying on the floor. And the whole place is just filled with trash and rats. The walls are falling apart. And then they go inside and she lives in an apartment. It's a completely
normal apartment.
And then she offers them like food and tea and they're like, oh, it's poor tea, but we can't be rude. It's really funny. And then they all feel horrible for taking your food. And she's like, I'm not that poor, guys.
She's very middle class.
Yeah, it's really funny. I feel like we're not doing it justice because it's a lot funnier if you watch it yourself, which is why you should watch it.
Yeah, it's a really good show. And it just has really good, like, the storytelling's really solid and the visual humor and just the way that,
all of the tropes. They fit so many tropes.
Yes.
And bring them to their absolute extreme in a way that makes some level of sense.
It's still a compelling story, and the characters are likable and interesting, even though it is like
and they
such
have a lot of character
satire.
Yeah. It's really cool how they do that. It's pretty impressive.
One of the things that I dislike about a lot of the like parody or satire like genre, this was especially a thing with like movies in the 2000s, where it would just be so devoted to the jokes and to making fun of whatever it was making fun of that it was like not even trying to tell a good story.
Worth watching, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
this is genuinely good and worth watching. Tells a good story while also proving a point in making extreme tropes that they're making fun of. Which is why I think it's a pretty impressive show. And it's so entertaining. It's one of the most entertaining shows I've ever watched.
Yeah. And like I said, like it was the first anime that I ever watched. And despite the fact that I don't watch shoujo anime and, don't really watch anime at all, like I still find it compelling and interesting and funny, even though I'm not super aware of the things that it's satirizing, which I think is an achievement. And I think, like, good satire should be funny regardless of it. The joke shouldn't be contingent on everyone being in the know and Ouran does a really good job with that.
Yeah, which I would also say, as somebody who does watch a lot of shoujo anime, you can also like see a lot of the who a lot of the characters are based on and what kinds of tropes, which is also pretty interesting. But like the interactions between them are just like really fitting for the tropes, in my opinion, and it all makes a lot of sense. Although there's one episode I don't really like, which is they just do like a play on Alice in Wonderland, and I have no clue what's going on the whole episode.
I love that episode.
It's really weird. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense, and it doesn't even fit in with the rest of the show at all.
I kind of love it when shows do stuff like that, where we're just gonna do an episode that is not even canon and doesn't matter.
Well, then you would love Naruto, because that's like 90% of the show.
See, I don't like when it's a lot of the show. I think it can be fun for an episode.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, well, I guess that is like the whole premise behind Community, too. Like, the whole show is that, but it's meant to be that. It's not like an underlying part of the main story. It is the whole story. Which, in that context, I think it can be good. In Naruto's context, it's just there is a story being told, but every 2 episodes you tell another 10-episode story in between. So
yeah, Naruto sounds like it would be hard to watch.
It's probably my favorite show. The hard thing is that all of the filler episodes are really entertaining too, and they tell good stories for the most part. Mm-hmm. It's just there's too many of them, and there's one arc that takes place over like 4 seasons. And most of those seasons are not even the actual. It's like takes so long to get to the actual story that I'm just like, sometimes they'll have like arcs with filler arcs within filler arcs. Like they'll be having like a flashback, and within the flashback there's a flashback. It's a lot.
You know what I like? I like concise storytelling that is to the point and is centered around a theme with a clear direction.
Yeah. I recently finished watching Fruits Basket. Mm-hmm. That show's also very good, but it does make you want to cry. Although it has one of the best anime endings I've ever seen. It's like such a satisfying ending for what the show brought, and really good character development. Although there's one character that, in my opinion, got worse, and they acted like they got better. In any case, back to the show we're actually talking about. One thing I really like about this show is that it's a running joke too. Like, at least for me, it wasn't like explicitly in the show, but it's kind of funny that if they want to do a fun episode, like a random filler episode, they don't have to come up with a reason because everyone's really rich.
Yeah,
so they can make it really happen.
They're just like,
yeah, I own a whole water park that's also got a whole jungle.
And we're going there.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't need a reason. They have money.
Yeah, and so anytime there's basically some sort of event like every other episode, and it's just like, it's the host club and we're doing this theme. Like,
yeah, they do a bunch of themes, and you'd be thinking like, how do they do this? But then you remember they're rich.
Yeah, they just have infinite money and infinite time on their hands. They're just extremely bored and incredibly rich.
Which I think they say in like most of the episodes.
Yeah, that's like the intro to the show.
Yeah. It is really funny how like sometimes you'll be like, there's no way this is actually possible, and then you think for a second, you're like, oh wait, they're rich. Of course it's possible.
Yep.
It was funny when I was watching it yesterday. The people I was watching it with, every time they're like, no real person would do that, and then like 2 seconds later, oh yeah, they're rich. What was I thinking?
And it does a good job of like,
I'm like in the sun. I'm sorry. I'm so bright right. I don't have anything bright going. Why am I so bright? There we go. That's better.
Whenever I pull up like a web page on my screen, because there's white, it's like, okay, you're in heaven now.
Eat the sun. If you go to Summit, you might understand that.
If you are one of the middle school boys.
The middle school boys in the youth group.
It does a good job Because the other thing that I think a lot of times satire can fall into is just like repeating the annoying things that it's
Yeah.
trying to satirize. And Ouran does a good job of like not doing that. Like the fact that literally everyone is in love with Haruhi should be annoying to me because I
Yeah.
hate that, but it's so funny.
Especially since there's one of them that specifically loves her more and gets mad every time. And it's
Yes.
really funny.
Yeah, and like the fact that Tamaki is so possessive and
Just watching him
just
cry in the corner every episode, which he does a lot.
yeah, it should be annoying, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. The only ones I think fall a little short of being hilarious are the twins because they
Yeah.
are a little bit annoying, which I think might be partially the English voice actors. They chose pretty annoying voices too, at least in my opinion. It's
Yeah.
it's just really funny. They
But the
do a
dub
good
is good
job.
otherwise. The
The dub is amazing.
English
Yeah,
dub is awesome.
they choose such good voice actors uh for each character, and the acting is very fitting. Yeah, I agree. The dub is very good. I wouldn't watch it in the sub because it's just so much funnier in the dub. I think you might, if you don't speak Japanese, which I doubt anyone watching this does, you should watch it in the dub because it just adds a whole other level to the humor.
I feel
I also
like
love how sometimes they just like put up arrows on the screen pointing to different things. It's
or
just such a
just
choice.
yeah, or just signs. Just
Yeah. They just plaster things right in front of the screen, everything that's happening. Or like in the first episode, the entire time the vase is directly in front of the frame with a big arrow pointing to it.
and then like a price tag.
And then finally, near the end of the episode, it breaks it. It's actually pretty early, not near the. But it's just funny how like half the episode they have vase right in places where it shouldn't be in the frame, with a big red arrow pointing to it, and like a blinking sound effect too.
Yeah.
It's like they put it so blatantly there. It's funny.
I feel like that is a level of storytelling that I wish more. I mean, it is kind of it's an anime thing as well, like that very heightened way of storytelling. But that is something that I think is hard to do well, and I wish more things in general would embrace because it's so good when
I
it's done
agree.
right. Because
Yeah.
like I get annoyed personally at like basically every anime that I've watched does this where characters will talk in their heads, like we'll get narration.
Yeah.
I don't like that most of the time because
No,
it's
it's
just
every
like
anime. I don't think I've
yeah,
watched one that doesn't have some
yeah,
level.
I don't think
Even
I have
like
either.
Ouran does too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
does get
like
a little bit boring, and it is a cheap way of storytelling by just
yeah, it's
like
just like let's just have the characters tell you exactly how they're feeling. Like it
exactly. Yeah, you know everything purely by just them telling you.
and I feel like there is an element of that where it's like sometimes that very blatant storytelling, actually most of the time I find it very annoying because as someone who is like in school for film, like the and just storytelling in general, the main rule is show don't tell of like you're supposed to let the audience figure out what they're supposed to know and guide them to something rather than just being like, here's exactly what's going on. Here's exactly how you should feel about this. But I think
Yeah,
Ouran does a good job of like being so blatant about it. The fact that they are literally telling you that it creates a new level of like interaction with the story because like we talked about the whole thing with the vase where it's like literally like they literally have a big red blinking arrow pointing to the vase telling you this is important, you should pay attention to this. And so it becomes not about the vase anymore, it becomes about the fact that like that this is what's being communicated to you, which I think is really effective satire, and really, like, that is a mark of really good satirical storytelling, is that you start interacting with it not on the level of just the story, but on the level of like, oh, I'm engaging with this on a more meta level. So it adds to the humor, and I think it does it really well.
Yeah, I see it as almost like a laugh track. Like telling you when you're supposed to laugh is not how you like you should make the jokes funny enough to where people laugh on their own. Don't tell them when to laugh. But
Yeah.
this show does everything in a way that it's so blatantly placed right in front of you that it's entertaining.
It's almost like if instead of a laugh track, they just had like someone say
laugh now.
Yeah, exactly.
With giant letters on the screen saying laugh.
Yeah, and so it makes it funny because of that. And and like we talked about with the banana peels, where it's just like there's just increasingly ridiculous, like it doesn't make sense why there would be banana peels here.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to give up at some point on even justifying it and just have a random monkey throw a banana peel.
Well, I think, and then after the monkey, I don't even think they show any. It just appeared. There's just suddenly banana peels. There's just so many banana peels in that show. And what's funny is my first watch through, I don't even think I noticed it. I didn't realize it until my sister told me. That show, it's truly a work of art. It does a great job of making so many jokes about so many things in a way that actually makes a surprising amount of sense. Although if you didn't know it was satire, you would think it was complete nonsense.
But it's still funny nonsense.
Yeah, it's really entertaining, but you would still think it was nothing. Which sometimes nothing is good.
Yeah. It's nonsensical, but there is still something worthwhile to engage with, even if you're not there for the satire, which is like what I was saying earlier. Like first time I watched the show, I didn't have any understanding really of what it was supposed to be satirizing, but I was still like I still found it very funny, and I was still able to engage with it on like a character level. I think it's worthwhile to watch, even just even the character arcs are worthwhile.
Yeah, which is what I was saying before. They do such a good job of like every character has a pretty good level of growth and development throughout the course of the show, and has episodes devoted to that development, which is not only like really good for any show, but for a show that has so many characters in only 26 episodes. It's really crazy how good they do with that, especially since they have stupid things where the whole plot of an episode makes no sense and isn't actually contributing to everything.
And it still manages to be like concise thematic storytelling, even though it's going 90 miles an hour at jokes the whole time.
Yeah, it's honestly really just such an impressive show.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's ever wasting time.
Yeah.
Like it's taking something, like it's not like, okay, now we're doing jokes and then now character moment, and you're being pulled away from one to have the other. Everything works together. Both. And the characters will have like these incredibly heightened, like super dark, like overly dramatic backstories, and that's their damage that they need to heal from. And it's like, it's funny because it's so ridiculous, but it also is, character development. And so that is, contributing to the characterization and the growth at the same time as going, okay, why are they part of a, karate family with the, like, what is happening?
Why is this 17-year-old that looks like a 5-year-old really good at karate? Well, here's his tragic backstory to explain that. Yeah. Which is like another such a big trope in so many, especially shoujo anime, which especially like Fruit Basket, which I just said I watched. Every character has the most tragic backstory of like any show I've ever seen. There's not a single character in that show that I don't think they gave 2 episodes to explain their tragic backstory and explain why they are the way they are now. Which, with like they have like a solid 15 main characters in that show that they do that with. So it's just like such a funny way of doing that and conveying the same point while also making it really funny. Which in other shows it just makes you want to cry though. Like, why are all these characters so sad?
Statistically, that many horrible things could not happen to that many people.
Well, sometimes it's like all related to the same one event.
Uh-huh.
Or like it's because they're in the same group that it's happened to all of them, like something affecting the group happened. But it's still really funny how they're able to make that both entertaining and also make sense for the story at the same time. And all the characters are pretty recognizable. Like, they make them all look very distinctly different from each other, while also making them similar enough that they make sense in the same show. Like, they have twins who have brown hair, brown eyes, and are decently tall. Kid that look, and they use a bunch of different art styles too, which is something I've noticed. It's like a mix, lot of different art styles, and kind of choosing them based on which type of character they're making a trope of. Like, Tamaki looks like a character who fits that trope and is in a style that fits that kind of character. Honey looks like a character from a cutesy anime that would be for a bunch of little kids. Stuff like that I also find really fits the theme of the show. So yeah, it was turned into a dating sim.
Oh, the irony.
The initial chapters of the manga were re-envisioned in 2006 as 26 episodes and further adapted in 2009 and 2007 and 2009 into dating sim games. Oh, it was live action too.
Oh yeah, there's a live... You didn't know about this?
No, I did not know about that. That's horrible.
Apparently it's pretty good. I haven't watched it.
I'm just looking at the picture and it's bad.
I mean,
that's supposed to... That's...
Wigs.
They all just look like members of BTS with wigs on.
That's
it looks like they're all played by the same person wearing a wig. I'm just saying, they look like Asians with wigs on.
You're not
they're
wrong.
Japanese, they're not Korean. But
they're just, I mean, you don't have the distinctive art styles to visually distinguish them, so they all just look,
the same they're all person wearing the with same, a different wig on.
They're all wearing the same uniform and just have different bad wigs.
It looks so... Is that Reagan?
Also,
I love
football players.
They weren't in the show. Why are there football players?
I don't know.
Also, like, why does Honey look like just a normal man holding a bunny?
Yeah, I don't really know how you do that. Because,
and he's not even blonde anymore. Were they trying to make him distinctly different from Tamaki?
Probably. And
dude, this is bad.
And I mean, I don't really know how you do the honey trope in a live action scenario, because you can either get a literal child or
it's not possible
you can just have an immature teenager, because like it's specifically an anime trope. So I don't really know how Ouran
Nikazawa is beautiful too. It's just
I don't know
yet another hot Japanese man with a coat on holding a puppet. Which the puppet looks exactly the same, which is beautiful.
Catch me at prom in my Nikazawa cosplay. Would Ouran work live action? Because it's specifically it's
not. It shouldn't.
A satire of anime. So it's kind of and the whole point is like all the things that we were just talking about the ways that like the heightened storytelling and the flashing red arrows and the text on screen, like how are you supposed to do that live action?
Like, I could see dating sim because all the characters are also tropes of dating sim characters.
You could do a dating sim that is a like
satire of a
dating sim site. Like that could be very
that
fun.
Makes sense. This doesn't. I don't. Also, the twins.
Yeah,
it's all bad. This whole picture is bad.
We should watch this together.
I don't wanna.
Okay, I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like we've covered everything we wanted to cover.
It's a good show, and you should watch it.
It's a good show. You should watch it.
And then you should go watch the live action drama.
If you know us,
which
you
is
can
what
watch
I'm
it with
do.
us. If I decide to. I'm deeply conflicted.
Maybe we'll start a new category of content, and we'll do commentary tracks for only the Ouran live action drama, and then retire.
I don't know. There's other poorly made live action animes. We could do Death Note, which I've heard is nothing like actual Death Note.
Death Note with one of the wolves. I don't remember which one. I can never remember which one's which. Anyways.
Yeah.
In conclusion, watch
as
Ouran.
Always.
It is good. Which I'm pretty sure that's what I said. Like.
Okay, one last thing. I was trying to tell someone to watch this show, and they just kept hearing me say moron. Moron High School? Moron. Yeah, that's all. You're a moron if you don't watch this high school. And as always, good chow. No.
Let's smash again. You've been bananaed.
Bananaed.
You know, if you think about it, Vision really is just a giant wedding ring.
We're just gonna reference every one of our old videos right now. Every one of our old episodes. What else? What else have we talked about?
I just so love attending Summit Waterford. I love attending specifically this campus.
That definitely will exist in a year or 2 years.
Of every single campus at Summit, I love that I attend Summit Waterford.
Yes, everyone else sucks.
We just hate those Herndon people so much.
Yeah.
It sure would suck if we had to go to youth group with those Herndon people.
Oh yeah. Who could have possibly imagined?
I can't.
Don't forget about Quiggy-Wan too. He can be thrown in there.
Spooku.
Quiggy-Wan. And oh no, my turret is broken. What else? What did we talk about in the Greatest Showman episode?
Zendaya's green dress.
Bearded Zendaya. And as always, bearded Zendaya. Ka-chow.
Thanks for watching. Check out our other episodes.
We just referenced all of them. Not all
100% of them.
Yeah, go watch
a good number of our episodes. There's not
that
many.
Some of them are pretty good.
Some of them are. Remember that time that we got into a fight over Star Wars: The Last Jedi? And then we resolved that?
I thought you were talking about the time we got into an actual... Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Is this our new thing? Are we just gonna make our outros go on forever?
If you think about it, life is just an outro. It just
we're all living in it.
We all die, either kill yourself or get killed.
And as always, ka-chow.